South Africa's finance minister has lashed out at the ANC leadership for allegedly intervening in the functions of the Reserve Bank on the same day that Statistics South Africa announced that South Africa's economy shrank by 3.2% in the first quarter of this year. The ANC's Secretary General told the media that the National Executive Committee had decided at its recent Congress that the mandate of the South African Reserve Bank should be expanded beyond currency stability. Let's see what transpired at that meeting.
Just after Statistics SA released GDP results showing a decline by 3.2% in the first quarter of 2019, the ruling party's Secretary General Ace Magashule uttered these words that started a fire even within the ruling party.
The National Executive Committee Lekgotla agreed to expand also the mandate of the South African Reserve Bank just beyond price stability to include growth and employment. It also directed the ANC government to consider constituting a task team to explore quantity easy measures to address intergovernmental debts to make funds available for developmental purposes.
The South African rand has taken a plunge since these developments and is currently at 15 rand against the US dollar. Finance Minister Tito Mboweni was quick to respond to the matter, saying reckless statements harm the economy.
Why the obsession about the central bank all the time? Why we say things which we know are going to destabilize the market? What's the purpose? What is the nature of the problem we're trying to solve?
We don't comment on the pronouncements of political parties, whether that political party is in government or not. The constitutional mandate of the Reserve Bank is very clear. It says we must protect the value of the currency in the interest of balanced and sustainable growth in the Republic. That's what it says. The architects of our constitution were visionaries. They understood that price stability is a necessary condition for growth.
Well, that was the Central Bank Governor of South Africa speaking there. Well, it's been a week packed with events and issues, from the ANC's internal squabble over whether the central bank should do more to promote jobs and growth to unimpressive GDP data showing the economy shrank by 3.2% in the first quarter. Of course, CEOs of Eskom, South Africa Airways resigned. How have all of these impacted the market this week? Let's bring in our correspondent there in South Africa, Becky Malay, to wrap up the market week for us. Hello, Becky. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, it seems quite a busy one for you guys there. Well, this morning we saw the South African rand fall again, reaching a new 2019 low on central bank worries. Of course, on the other hand, the JSE index was looking up. From the equity side, from the fixed income side, how has all of these development this week impacted investors' sentiment? What are they saying?
Okay, funny enough, the markets were not really damaged that bad. But then when you look at the investor side, most people are shying away from investing in the rand currency. So they are quite moving slightly towards other currencies. That is what affects of the rand. But on the other hand, some of these policies that, some of the events that happened throughout the week have really set people back, because especially people were looking forward, especially after the elections. So they're looking more into plugging into money, but now most people are holding on to their money because there seems to be a bit of instability at the moment right now politically.
Now, let's look at the issue of the CEOs resigning. The President Ramaphosa actually had a meeting with 20 CEOs. What was the outcome of that meeting? What were they saying?
Basically, some of the CEOs wanted some clarity, like role clarity from the president. Like who exactly is allowed to tell them what to do, and what is their role in the country. And then, they raised some of the issues like capitalization of the SOEs, and they also expressed some of the challenges that they have. Some of the roles, I think we have noticed that, there are certain political figures that want to influence decisions in SOEs, so they wanted clarity, sort of like some sort of clarity from the president as to what are their roles, and who is supposed to report, who are they supposed to report to, and who is supposed to report to.
Now, some analysts say there's a CEO crisis in South Africa and no one is stepping up. Is that the case?
Seemingly, everyone, there's positions right now seem like the hot seats in the country. But then, if you look at, for instance, ESCOM, it is quite, most of the SOEs are in debt. So no one really wants to, jump into that. But, we need, like this afternoon, SAA appointed an acting CEO after a resignation. So we are looking forward. We need, a brave enough person to just step out and be the hero to move, these SOEs forward.
Okay, with the GDP number released this week, so Moody's already predicting a recession. Do economic analysts there think Ramaphosa's government has got all it takes to stop this from happening?
Most of the analysts are just suggesting that, we need to give the president a chance to just prove himself. He has the cabinet in place. He has the people in place. It's just that, the country was in such a mess. So gathering all of that will not be easy, and it will take some time. And some analysts were saying that if you look at between 2004, between 1999 to 2000, the economy took time to stabilize. It started stabilizing. It took it about 5 years, so we don't expect this to happen overnight. So people are just saying, no, give Ramaphosa a chance and see what outcome it brings.
So what's the outlook for next week? What should we expect?
Well, one of the biggest banks, Standard Bank, is closing down about 100 of its branches. So we are yet to see, what will be the ripple effects of that. But otherwise, we are also waiting for a review from Moody to see if whatever they were saying about the country still stands. Otherwise, in the financial market side, we are also trying to keep an eye on, the trade war between the US and China, trying to see how the markets are doing overseas and trying to compare our markets to those markets.
All right, Becky, thank you, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Meanwhile, South Africa's net foreign reserves dipped to $43.178 billion in May from $43.245 billion in April. Data from the central bank shows gross reserves fell to $48.329 billion at the end of May from $49.538 billion in the prior month. The forward position, which represents the central bank's unsettled or swap transactions, was $1.152 billion in May from $1.874 billion in April. Well, that's it on the program for today and, of course, for the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Chimezie Obi Iwago.